This is Constitution Day. As you know, every Monday is exclusively Constitution Day, and Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson is the only one who will be in the studio to speak on the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This subject is extremely important. Let me tell you how important the Constitution is. Your very salvation as a nation depends on the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The salvation of your government, the salvation of your representation in the Parliament. Very, very important. 99% plus of you do not know your Constitution. That is a major national problem, and that one has to be fixed. We just can't keep you not knowing your Constitution. And I hear all kind of talk, loose talk, misinformation, people having no kind of understanding of how the government ought to function, what is expected from a representative. People get party politics mixed up with the government of the Bahamas. In Bahamians, it is a very dangerous mixture. It has people deceived and misled. For more than 51 years as an independent nation, there's still people questioning, is the Bahamas an independent nation? They don't believe in the Constitution. They have been caught up with so many things written on scraps of paper, where the man now says some things that he wrote on that piece of scrap paper, he's not going to bother with right at this particular time. The man didn't tell me that when he first wanted to get elected. But after 3 years, with less than 2 years to go, the man say, I ain't bothering with that no more. I'll do something else. And some things that are not on the list, what they purported to ask you to go by and look and say, go down the list and see whether we did this, whether we did that, whether we did the next thing. The question has to be asked, Bahamians, is it constitutionally sound? Because you see, if a government is not functioning according to the Constitution, you're going to have trouble, all kind of trouble. Another man was murdered. I believe in Kennedy Sub it was. And the problem with murder is a very serious national problem. I understand the police are supposed to come up with the initiative. What kind of initiative could they come up with now? What they have not already told you and me? What kind of initiatives can the Ministry of National Security come up which they have not already told you? And I heard some remarks made by the Minister of National Security. In fact, some police officers came to him and he said he told them he couldn't help them. I think they wanted to come off the front lines and perhaps put to do something else. The thing is, Bahamians, when you have people in positions of authority and do not know the Constitution, how the country ought to run, you're asking for trouble. That's where we are right now. You have sent people to the House of Assembly who do not know the Constitution, who do not understand law. But yet you're asking these personalities to make laws to govern you and me, which they themselves don't go by. You see all that confusion in Grand Bahama? And people rowing and carrying on and rowing and carrying on as to who has the authority to raise electricity rates, when the Constitution tells you clearly who has that authority. Always had it. And even the government itself is in confusion over that. And you will have people who will set you before the court, and take your money from you and wouldn't tell you any better. Even if they knew better, they wouldn't say no. Don't waste time with that. Here's what is the right way. That's deception, Bahamians. And we have had many people deceived and misled for more than 51 years when it comes to legal matters. And they've lost a lot of money. And some cases are still outstanding in the court. Haven't been able to get a resolution yet. You see how many police officers are charged with murder by manslaughter, they say. And it's up to the person who is in the Attorney General's office, the Director of Public Prosecution. That's a new position, you know, they decided to create a comfortable position for somebody to make some money. That's all that is. They could have left that with the Attorney General. But they decided to create what they call Director of Public Prosecutions, who has to take instructions from the Attorney General. If the Attorney General say go, you go. If the Attorney General say come, you come. He or she cannot say no, Mr. Attorney General. I'm not listening to you. You're wrong. The Constitution says he has to do it. But yet when they were campaigning, they said independent director of public prosecution. There's no such thing in the Constitution. It never was there. But while they were campaigning and in the House and talking this and talking that, and when you check the legislation, the amended version for the Attorney General, you don't see it there. It was done by design, Bahamians, for it not to be there. Because if you were independent, you could tell that man, now, Mr. Attorney General, I'm not listening to that crap. It is not constitutionally sound. But the man can't say that. If the Attorney General gives him an oral or written instruction, he or she has to do it. That's Constitution. Bahamians, we have to wake up now. And I think a lot of you are beginning to understand that some things have gone wrong for more than 51 years. It has not benefited this country at all, period. Only a few people have gotten wealthy at the expense of the masses. People have gotten lost. And they are all in confusion as to what they should do. They don't know. They don't understand. The Constitution has all of the answers to all of our national problems, all of our constituency problems. You know how many articles we have in that Constitution? Some of those articles I haven't even said anything on air about them. And those articles are very detailed. And you have to take it line upon line, word upon word, paragraph after paragraph, sentence after sentence. Let me say this to you. The Constitution has been online for years. You think the people understand it? 99% today, as I speak to you, September 30th, 2024, don't know the Constitution. It's been there for years. And I heard those people from the OPM, the Office of the Prime Minister, talking about climate change. And some people got on there and they said, listen, tell the Prime Minister to come and talk to us. We want to hear direct from them. They're not interested in listening to no tape. And the people are telling them, go online, check this, check that, check the next thing. Is that the way we're going to treat the average Bahamian? The woman in Baintown who is cooking lunch for her 5 boys, and she has a radio on. You think she have time to go check any internet? She's scrapping to feed those 5 boys. She ain't got no husband, you know. Or at least the man is not there. But she's doing the best that she can. And that's why she will listen to Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the air to understand the Constitution. It has to be broken down, Bahamians, in simple, basic, fundamental language. That takes time. And some things I've been saying for years, because I've been at this from the very beginning. And when I started out on the airwaves and started talking about the Constitution and how the government of the Bahamas was not following the Constitution, some of you thought I was talking foolishness and nonsense. Let the evidence speak for itself. We have problems, Bahamians, multiple problems, even more so now, today, than ever before. You know what kind of laws that have been passed? I have to take some time to check some of these laws, recently passed laws, by the House of Assembly, by the Senate, sent on to the Governor General. You know the Governor General is also in error. Who advises the Governor General? The Governor General ought to know the Constitution, because there are certain powers the Governor General has, which are entrenched in the Constitution. And the particular personality in the office ought to make a constitutional decision, which is in the best interest of the Bahamian people. I have to go through that with you in detail about the office of Governor General and also the office of Attorney General. Because in the office of Attorney General, as I said earlier, you have the Director of Public Prosecution, who is not independent, never was, and under the Constitution is not independent, having to take instructions from the Attorney General. So if the Attorney General is wrong, the Director General is wrong. When people give wrong advice, the whole government could be thrown off. You have people in the Office of Attorney General who ought to be trained. Now, what kind of training, whether they are constitutionally sound, I don't know. But you have them right in there. And that office has been making mistakes for the last 51 years. And we've had Attorney General after Attorney General after Attorney General, and it has never been corrected. Up to this day, as I speak to you, September 30th, 2024. And all of these people are supposed to be brilliant personalities in law. But the problems are still there. They haven't been corrected. You mean to tell me all of these brilliant personalities missed what the Constitution says? Yes, they certainly did. Because what was done, not constitutionally sound. Anything that's contrary to the Constitution is not constitutionally sound. Doesn't matter who the particular personality is. It is what you do in the office of Governor General. It's what you do in the office of Attorney General. Well, I won't say too much about the Director of Public Prosecutions. That position was created for somebody to make some money. That's all that is. The Director of Public Prosecution has no real authority to do anything. None. But that's the way we do things in this country. And so if bad advice is given to the Governor General, to the Prime Minister, to the members of Parliament, to the members of the Senate, then all of them wrong. We were looking at an act called the amendment to the Constitution. And this act, which really is a bill, which they have been using for a very long time. It has never been corrected. And had to do with citizenship, the articles relating to citizenship. And this particular piece of legislation has been in use for more than 50 years. It's a bill. It never was properly constituted according to the law, the supreme law of the land. It went through the Senate. No, it went through the House first, then through the Senate, but it never came to the people. It never reached the people. For the people to make a determination. See, there are 3 steps, you know. First, it goes through the House, and it has to pass by X number of votes. Then it goes to the Senate, passed by X number of votes. Then it has to come to the people for ratification. The bill never, ever was presented to the Bahamian people. The Bahamas Nationality Act. That's what they call it, you know. But it's not an act. It's a bill. But they've been using it for more than 51 years. And all those attorney generals who sat in the chair never, ever corrected the problem. Even up to this day. I don't expect this one to do it. Because this particular personality is way off course. The Bahamas Nationality Act. It's not an act. It's not even a law. It's a bill. Check your constitution, Bahamians. You need to understand. And I can show you some other things that they have passed, which are not constitutionally sound. I'm going to take my time and explain these things to you, because you ought to know. You are choosing people and sending them to the House of Assembly. You don't know the hell who you're choosing. You are choosing a bunch of misguided personalities and putting them in the House and say, go make some laws to govern me and you. That's what we've been doing for more than 51 years. And they have never admitted to doing anything wrong. Do you know that? The government of the Bahamas has never admitted to doing anything wrong. The Parliament of the Bahamas has never admitted to doing anything wrong. You think they're perfect? You stay right there. There's a bunch of weak-minded personalities who've been running this place for more than 51 years. That's why the place is all messed up. That's why we have all this confusion. Even with the setting of electricity rates, all kind of confusion. They created a whole conglomerate. From the Public Utilities Commission, they canceled that one out. They created IRCA. There's no need for IRCA. It's a conglomerate for some people to make some money. Wasted of the taxpayers' money, where that money could be given to people at the bottom rung of the ladder. I remember when they had it up on East Bay Street. Big conglomerate in one big building. Now I think they had it on Frederick Street, but they're supposed to be doing some renovations there. When you understand constitutional law, you don't need IRCA. Now, when you look at Grand Bahama, the Grand Bahama Port Authority is looking at a bill, the Hawksbill Creek Agreement. And they are telling you that they have the authority to set rates. And so the Grand Bahama Power Company has applied to both the Port Authority and IRCA for the raising of rates. This ain't the first time they've raised rates. They've been doing it before. Was it done legally? Yes or no. Was it done constitutionally? Yes or no. You can know that. There's no secret about that. But people are not prepared when they mess up on you to say, yes, I messed up. I made a mistake. Bahamians, the most difficult thing you can do as citizens of this country is to allow people to mess up on you, and then you give them more authority to keep on messing up on you and never admit when they're wrong. That's dangerous. That's why we're in the predicament we're in today. So foreigners come in here, look at Bahamians as being stupid because they see how the government of the Bahamas is functioning. And they say, I can get a piece of them too. And so they come into Grand Bahama, they come into New Providence, they come into Inagua and all these other places. They want to get a piece of the action. We have had a weak government for 51 years. You know why? Let's look at the last two elections. You gave one party 35 seats. The opposition, you gave them 4. Now tell me, with such a massive landslide of seats, why that particular administration under Mr. Minnis, Dr. Hubert Minnis, did not do more for the Bahamian people. What is there blocking him or his government? Nothing. They could have passed every single thing to benefit the Bahamian people. No barriers, nothing to block them, no opposition to block them. Opposition had 4 seats. But they had 35 seats. And I understand that they got to find jobs for all of these people who have positions in the House of Assembly and the Senate. I'm going to deal with that a little later in the show. To show you how our money has been wasted for 51 years. Millions and millions of dollars, maybe billions. And these secret deals, the heads of agreement, the man say he will release one of them, but he won't release the other heads of agreement. You see the kind of crap this is? Why should we have heads of agreement signed with the people's business and the people don't know what's going on? That's very dangerous. Any kind of funny things can happen. Because carnal nature being what it is, Bahamians, it is wicked, it's evil, it's rotten, it's filthy, it's nasty. Check Romans 8:7. The carnal mind is enmity against God. If it's enmity against God, it can be enmity against you. The very people you put the power in hand to run your affairs are carnal-minded people. The carnal mind is enmity against God. It is not subject to the law of God. They don't want to obey God. They don't want to listen to what God says. God is not in their knowledge. How many times you hear them refer to God? In fact, Dr. Miles Monroe told those in the house, have your Holy Bible with you. Do not make any laws that are contrary to the Holy Scriptures. Isn't that simple? Isn't that basic? And yet the Parliament has been passing law after law after law, contrary to sound doctrine, without even having any consultation with the Bahamian people. The electorate, we're not even in the ratings. We're not even consulted. They just go in there talking about, I stand to rise on behalf of the good people of a particular constituency. And then they start talking foolishness. And then we as citizens never stop to say, well, what the hell is going on here? You can't be speaking for me because I never met with the man. I never talked to the man. And I heard one particular caller on another show who hangs on to a political party and saying that the Prime Minister has 2 years to get it right. What you mean he has 2 years to get it right? What he didn't do in the first 3 years, he ain't going to do it in the next 2 years. That's not going to happen. We have a track record of personalities in that particular political party. All you have to go and check the record when they're in governance in this country and see how they have performed. See, we have short memories. That's our problem. You remember the contradictions in this current administration, the first 3 years, ministers contradicting one another. The Prime Minister says one thing, his Minister of National Security say another thing. The Minister of Health says one thing, another minister says another thing. All kind of contradictions. And then they can stand up and say they did nothing wrong. Right in your face. You know they're not perfect. I know they're not perfect. You know these are a bunch of carnal-minded human beings. And God is not in their knowledge. They don't recognize God. They don't have their holy Bibles with them when they discuss in law in the House of Assembly. They listen to some other people. This one tell them this one tell them that. The next one say this, the next one say that. No reference whatsoever to Holy Scripture. That's what we've been getting for 51 years, Bahamians. So how do you expect them to suddenly change over the next 2 years? In fact, when Mr. Minnis was in power, he said he saw some headwinds, so he decided to call an early election, some 8 months before his term was up. The people, the electorate, voted him out of office. And guess what the electorate did? They went back to the party that had 4 seats, decided to make that particular party in opposition the government of the day with 32 seats. And they gave the former administration 7 seats. So right now it's 32 and 7. You see how lopsided this election has been on both occasions? I used the last 2 to show you how the electorate has been thinking. So we have to look at the hardcore facts as they are. Massive swings from one party to the next, and yet still all we got are problems. So what then is the solution, Damien? How can we correct this problem? It can be corrected if we listen to what God has to say and follow the Constitution and follow the Holy Bible. We can get it corrected. I believe we have to go to a break. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson. The lines are open today, 326-0271, 326-0272, 813-0271. We'll be back after the break.
Express Yourself Live will return right after this.
Summertime is for traveling and also shopping for back to school. The Brass and Leather Shop and the Luggage Store have
Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. This is Constitution Day, and I'm speaking strictly on the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You can ask any questions that you wish to ask me about the Constitution. And let me say this to you. You have all of these learned personalities in the Attorney General's office. They are supposed to be working on behalf of the Bahamian people. That office has been in error for more than 51 years. And there's been no correction. Attorney General after Attorney General after Attorney General, and all these learned personalities in that office. And not a living soul has ever said, stop. Let us look and see what we are doing, which is not constitutionally sound. And up to this day, as I speak to you, September 30th, they're still doing the same foolishness. Payments, what are we going to do about that? We've allowed this thing to go on so long. We take it as if it's normal. But it is detrimental to the health and welfare of our people. Have you noticed the increasing frustration of the Bahamian people like I've never seen it before? How is it that we have so many people committing suicide? There was a time when I said Bahamians don't commit suicides. But now statistics are coming out. Now, I don't know whether these people are Bahamian citizens. I don't know. But I used to say Bahamians don't commit suicide. The reason why I said it, we're afraid to go to hell. Anyone go to hell if we commit suicide? But we have people in this country who are hurting themselves, attempting to commit suicide. Some have been successful in committing suicide. One mother, herself and 3 children, she drives straight over into Montague, straight in the water, and drowned all 3 of them. That's 4 people that died in that suicide that occurred at that time, a couple of years back. Just drive straight over. And I understood this particular woman had gone to the police and tried to get help, and maybe a lot of other people she went to. Everybody just turned her down. So she decided, what the heck? No point living. Some people get so frustrated. The frustration level is extremely high. Do you know that's unconstitutional? No man, woman, or child shall ever have their lives frustrated, Bahamians, by deprivation. That's in the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, right in the preamble. And there are plenty of things in that preamble you need to know and understand. Bahamians are supposed to be frustration-free. So why today in 2024, September the 30th, we are frustrated? For what? Why are we being deprived of good quality electricity? Why? BEC was around for decades. Long time. And yet still, we have problems in providing electricity on this island 21/7. People are always complaining how the lights are off and on. They lose a lot of things in their refrigerator. They lose food. The equipment is damaged. The electricity company doesn't compensate them. And when you try to talk to them, they give you the runaround. Someone has to pay for that. We have not decided to take action against, well, they call it BPL, but you got some other fellas in there too now. Say they won't provide electricity. So that's kind of a little mixed up in there. We got to have clarity as to who is supposed to be providing electricity. The thing is, Bahamians, we have been wasting valuable time for 51 years. And people have suffered and died over that 51-year span. That's the danger of this thing. People were living, hoping for a better way of life, didn't see it. And I'm very disturbed over that. Their children are here today. Their grandchildren are here today. And some of them are not here because a few of the parents are still here. They had to bury their own grandchildren or their sons or their daughters. They're not getting as young as I am. I tell young people all the time, I want them to get as young as I am. And when you get as young as I am, you know what you tell yourself? I'm saying it till the man come back. Because there's plenty of work to do. We have lost a lot of manpower, particularly among our males. The man was found dead on the roof, multiple gunshot wounds. I believe it's in Kennedy Sub. And it was reported that the particular personality was known to the police. I don't know why they said that, what that's supposed to mean, that he was known to the police. Well, some other people knew him too. I don't know why they put that in there, but they need to explain these things. Why are you saying this particular personality was known to the police? What that has to do with the fact that he's now dead? Because they can't bring him back. He was murdered, as we understand. A lot of things are happening in our country which is putting enormous pressure on people. Bahamians, we need to have a national government that can solve problems. We got to stop playing around with people who keep telling us they write all that kind of crap on scraps of paper instead of using the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The Constitution is your salvation document. If you have a government that doesn't go by that Constitution, they're in error. They can't help you. They've been lying and deceiving you for 51 years. And that's not helpful to the Bahamian people. And they don't admit when they are wrong. The hardest thing for a human being to do is to admit when he or she is wrong. They will always jump up and say, we did nothing wrong. What do you mean you did nothing wrong? And all you're doing is messing up on the people. Look at the immigration situation in this country. They got all kind of papers they're looking at, or say they're about to look at. All kind of people applying for this, applying for that, citizenship. And the people don't qualify to be no citizen. Because the Constitution doesn't give them the authority to do so. Only the Constitution is the authority on citizenship, not a particular personality who sits as the minister for immigration or the minister for matters relating to citizenship. It doesn't work that way. It's not at his whim and fancy payments. How we get mixed up like this? Or even the immigration board, as it is called. Say the government's the immigration board. And my team is now getting a listing of all these boards. And let me just comment on that briefly right here while it's in my head. You see all the flurry of boards and committees and authorities and all kind of funny things. You have a ministry about climate. I think Warren Miller is that minister, responsible for the environment. Yet they have in the office of Prime Minister. I heard the people on the radio today said they're dealing with climate change. And they got director, they got this, they got that. And that department is set up in the Prime Minister's office. What I have noticed is that so many committees and boards and authorities all jamming up and getting one another's way. What do we have that for? Paying out the taxpayers' money for what? And you don't see what they're doing. Where is the evidence? Some people ask about the climate change. How is the Prime Minister going all around the world talking about climate change, but doesn't make the time to speak to the Bahamian people? You know what them people told them? They must go online and check his speeches. Bahamians ain't gonna check that. The Constitution has been online for decades, and people have not gone to it. They don't want to talk no crap in my ears. And I heard them say one thing that was put out on the internet, 500 to 600 pages. You think the woman in Baintown got any time to go on the internet to pull out 500, 600 pages? She's supposed to understand that. The man in Foxhill who's looking for young men for his 6 daughters, you think he got any time to do that? He's trying hard to find 6 young men to be his sons-in-law. And he's having a tough time because the young men are killing up themselves. And he don't want his daughters to be married to no potential murderer. And I can't blame him. Then I know another father who has 2 beautiful daughters. And he is looking for 2 sons-in-law to marry his beautiful daughters. Very talented, very gifted women. But he can't find none. How we get like this? In the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the women are prepared themselves to become wives. We can't find no husbands. What kind of crap is that? Then they end up shacking up with a stranger, a foreigner, an alien, an outsider. And that creates more problems for the Bahamas. But you don't know them. They have a different nation, a different culture, a different mindset, mixing up with the Bahamians. And that's what has happened to some. And some of our daughters have been murdered by these wicked foreigners who marry our daughters. You have to be careful, Bahamians. And bring that strange man in your powerhouse. And I know of some who were murdered. Those women are dead. Intelligent, brilliant women get mixed up with strangers, foreigners, aliens, outsiders. Be very careful who you hook yourself up with. Because we got some wicked ones right in our midst, and you have to be very careful. So young men, you got to change your wicked ways. You got to straighten up, and you got to fly right. Because you're doing us a terrible disservice by shooting up, knifing up, stabbing up, killing up yourselves. That doesn't make any sense. The possibility always exists that some innocent person can die because guns are not a respecter of persons. When the fellow firing, whoever's in the way get it. And innocent lives have been slaughtered. The young boy sitting right in his house in Bain and Grant's town, doing his own work at the table, and was shot right in the head. And he died. And I believe they just finally caught up with the particular personality responsible for that crime. You know how long ago that was? You think those people remember all the details? The young boy is still dead. He's not here to testify. And people have had so many things happen to them. All this stress, all this trouble, all of this. what is happening to them now, you expect them to remember the details of that murder when the case comes up, whenever it comes up. That's going to be further years down the road. It's taking too long to deal with these wicked people. And then they put him out on bail. I don't know if they can put this one out on bail because he was running from the police from that time. It remains to be seen whether the particular personality will be given bail. There's some things that need to be dealt with right away. Scripture tells us, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. It is set in the hearts of the sons of men to do evil. That's what's happening right now. The criminal element does not fear the courts. They do not fear the judiciary. They look at the judiciary as a joke. So they set up their own court. They set up their own judges and carry out justice. Babies, that's what's been happening over the years. And then the police got to go looking for these people who set up their own court. Say they in judgment. They're going to make decisions. And criminal acts are being committed. And then those very same personalities want to get bail. They have to be out on bail. And some of them out on bail for more than one murder. Bahamians, we are in serious trouble. It is the duty of the government of the Bahamas to protect the Bahamian people. Is that happening? The answer is no, they're not. They're not protecting me. The Constitution protects me. Not them. Nothing is happening. And nothing is happening for you either. I believe I have a call on the line. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Brother Sid,
Hey, what's happening, man?
the woman them want foreign man.
The woman getting foreign man because we got lousy males here who will not do better. I know the man who got, hold on, I know the man who got 6 daughters in Fox Hill. He trying to find son-in-laws for them. Or I should say husbands for them. They'll be his sons-in-law. And I know a father who has 2 beautiful daughters. Very brilliant, very talented. He wants to get his daughters married, but they can't find no decent Bahamian man. You hear what I tell you? And I don't think he wants them to be married to a stranger, a foreigner, an alien, an outsider, who he knows nothing about. Because I've known where our beautiful women have been murdered by these so-called husbands. That can't be right. Go ahead, Colin.
You think now, my daughter, I can let somebody come through my place with his pants down on the backside and stuff like that?
You better not.
Talking, yeah, man, and this and that and next thing. And look here, the 2 of them got to come out there.
You letting your daughter go with him?
If she really want him, the 2 of them got to go.
No, man, you can't. You gotta help her to do better. See, a lot of them don't know no better.
See, you only could talk to them. See, you could talk to them. But some of them, we live in now in 2024.
Yes.
There's no excuse now for ignorant. They can see the fella with his pants hang down. They can hear the fella on the street cussing and carrying on. They can hear the fella fight his daddy, fight his ma, and you still gonna put yourself down?
I'm glad you mentioned it because an incident happened in my area, right where I live. Breakout right in the street. The man or the male, they ain't no man. The male using all kind of offensive language, which I cannot say on the radio. So I have to hold my tongue. But obscene language. And the woman or the particular female doing the same thing. Right out in the street, in the public. And they're supposed to be quote unquote Bahamian. They mightn't even be Bahamian, they might be foreigners. Because
Mhm.
any decent Bahamian woman doesn't carry on that way. And any decent Bahamian man doesn't carry on that way. If any decent man is out there, he got to behave like me. And if he ain't behaving like Professor Sidney McArthur, Walter Thompson, don't marry them.
Exactly. And number one, when you come to my house, you ain't you don't you don't go to no bedroom, but you go into no girl and stuff like that.
No,
That ain't happening.
no, it shouldn't.
The far as you gonna stay is right to maybe the dining room table.
No, he can stay at the door so you could see him. He
Or
ain't coming in the dining room.
you understand?
He can
But
stand
how
at the
these
door.
fellas them they just won't go straight in the bedroom
Yes,
and stuff like that.
yes,
I can't understand what type. See, right then you could tell what's going on.
yes,
Anytime you let a boy go in your room behind the girl who he want to talk to and stuff like that, that is problem.
big
That is
problem.
problem. But my last point, you see all these crime and things going. I forget the place name. It's one country. Two presidents had it, and all kind of problems in the gang. This gang used to call. Um, I forget the name of this gang. The 13 something anyway.
Okay.
But this new president was going in. He built a big jail.
What
What could
country is
hold
this?
50,000 people. And he said, let me tell you all something. This goes from the top to the bottom. Any crime you do, you all going in there. In 2 months, Brother Sidney, that country was straightened up. You know? Well, when you get leaders who ain't gonna pull no punches, leaders who ain't worrying, but if you gonna put me back in the next time,
Yes,
you going and Fox, you going in the jail house.
yes,
But you get these fellas, they rape, 2 years they get catch with all kind of gun. 5 years, we ain't really serious.
no, we're not.
We ain't serious. If we were serious, we will make example from the top to the bottom. When the bottom see what the top doing, well, ain't nothing changing. You see what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I agree. I agree with you.
When they sit under the tamarind tree and started drinking their Gallic beer, and they start talking about who in society, who doing this and who doing the next thing, now we see where we is today.
Yes,
We see where we is today. Look at that 22-year-old boy raped that 83-year-old little woman.
yeah, I'm very disturbed over
You
that.
understand?
Yes,
You think he don't know? I know he crazy. He got to be crazy to do that. You
yes,
understand me?
yes, yes.
So brother said, man, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, thanks, eh?
Yeah, thanks very much. See, scripture is very clear on this matter because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. It is set in the hearts of the sons of men to do evil. The judiciary in this country is too slow in executing justice. Now, we have to find a way how to. There's a backlog in cases, yes. It will require some hard work, yes. We have to speed it up very quickly, yes. We cannot keep lingering cases many years pass before the case comes up. We're supposed to be a nation of laws. You know, leaders always like to talk about that we're a nation of laws. The point is the law must be enforced. That 83-year-old woman who was raped cruelly by that young male, as not a man, as an animal, as a creature. If we do not give justice to that elderly lady, justice will be taken out on him. He's not going to survive. I don't care where they put him. his wickedness will follow him and destroy him. The point is, we have been allowing too many things. And we as citizens, here's another thing. We as citizens are not using our collective strength to find the right persons to send to the House of Assembly. Why is it so difficult? When you have the Holy Bible, you have the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, which will give you the answers to all of our problems. I heard him talking about Donald Trump and President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump. Let me give him his title. Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, the two nominees for the office of president. And I'm getting reports now that it's a toss-up between the two. America is not sure which direction they want to go in, because they have two candidates that they are not satisfied with. There are flaws in both of them. And it's going to be an interesting election. It's just a short distance away now for the first Wednesday in November. This is September, October, then you have November. It's just a short distance away. And people are in confusion as to who they should vote for. And they even asked the Catholic Church. And there have been different answers from different people. And so they're trying to see how best they can help these people. It is a difficult choice, I must say that. And I think they need to pray and ask for God's guidance and direction. Please pray for the safety of the people of the United States of America, because what happens in that country is going to have a great impact on the world. Whoever sits in the high office of President of the United States is considered to be leader of the free world. That goes with the office. And people look up to the United States of America for guidance, for direction, for instruction. So we have to pray for them, whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's Kamala Harris. It would appear as if, from what I have observed, there's a strong leaning toward the Democrats. But yet the Democrats have some problems that people are not happy about, particularly when it comes to LGBTQ grouping. And they believe in abortion. They believe in killing babies before they're born, because the mother has a right to do with her body as she sees fit. Ain't no discussion with the father now. They're saying if the woman is raped, that's grounds for the child to be aborted. But we're not looking at what God says in his word about conception. When does life begin? And what to do with the particular personality involved with a crime like rape. What are we supposed to do with him? See, God tells us how to deal with that. And abortion is not the answer. It just is not. What if you were aborted? What if I were aborted? Who is going to protect the life of the unborn child? You can leave it up to these mothers who decide, I don't want this baby no more. I'm just going to get rid of the baby. And the child is aborted. So we have to be very, very careful. And let's pray for them to have peace and tranquility in the United States. And if Donald Trump loses, if he loses, there are some people who want him to win. But the possibility exists he could lose, and lose big. If he loses by one vote, he lost big. So let's hope that there'll be no scale of violence that affect that nation, because it will have an effect on us and the entire Western world. And I don't think we want that. We don't have any time for that. So let's hope peace will reign supreme. We're going to have to go to another break again. I hear the music in the background. The lines are wide open, baby. This is Constitution Day, you know. Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson. Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson. We'll be back after the break.
Your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. It is good to be alive and well and on this radio station. I love coming here. I want to be here until the man come back. So I have plenty of work to do, because this Constitution, the most important national document, must be understood by the Bahamian people. But who's going to teach it? Who's qualified to teach it? We have a vacuum in this country, Bahamians. Because I remember someone asked whether there were any others who could teach the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, but that no one ever called in to answer it. And I said I would put it out before the audience because you have Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. You know about him. I don't know of any others because I put it out to the audience and no one said anything. That's been months ago now. A couple of months have passed since that was put out there. But Bahamians, we have to get the nation ready. We have serious problems. Now, let me say this about governance. The Constitution tells you the answers to our problems. No ifs, no ands, no buts. The Holy Bible gives you the answers to our problems. No ifs, no ands, no buts. God gives us clear-cut instruction. Let me give you one that I'll mention today. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Now you stop and think. Do we have a righteous government? Yes or no? Or do we have a wicked government? Yes or no? If we have a righteous government, then the people will be rejoicing. Do you see them rejoicing in Bain and Grant's town? Are they happy? Are they enjoying life to the fullest? Or are they stressed out? The Constitution says Bahamians are not to be stressed out. They're not supposed to have their lives frustrated by deprivation, being deprived of electricity, lights going out all the time, being deprived of good roads, being deprived of good jobs, being deprived of having a happy community to live in, being deprived of a wonderful place where they could go and be given good health care. Where's the new hospital? Well, I heard them say they built them on maternity ward down somewhere out west. That ain't no hospital. That's a maternity ward. When they could add right on Princess Margaret Hospital, right outside the door here. So why put a maternity ward all the way down there? Talking about specialty hospital. What kind of advice are we getting, Bahamians? Where the debt keeps rising and rising and rising and rising. They say it's over 12 billion, I believe. Is that the way we're supposed to run a country? Are we paying off the debt? The answer is no. We're not paying off anything because it keeps going up. We're collecting a lot of VAT money. The government is happy to collect VAT money. And I mentioned earlier in a few shows ago about what was happening down Bay Street with all this heat. And you have a whole lot of people right there on Bay Street, where they're on the opposite side, waiting for the bus. And this searing heat. And yet the people in transportation have not had the decency to put shade over the bus seats where the people have to sit in the sun. No proper protection for customers, and they're collecting money. They've been collecting this money for more than half a century. And they can't have the decency. Caller, just hold on a minute. They don't have the decency. Put up shade. This hot, searing weather this is now September, going into October, and the weather is very hot. I can continue that. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thompson.
Hey, how are you?
I'm okay there. Mr. Thompson, a
Yes,
real
sir.
constitution of mine is blackmail. You should get him on your show back. He goes in depth in that constitution. He can explain to the people. You can't bring him on your show back.
Who's that again?
Blackmail. He's going to see him again, show. And he's
Oh.
going after the Constitution. He's a real constitutional man.
You listen to him?
What? Man, he's going detail, and he's a soldier for the Constitution.
Oh, okay. All right. The matter could be considered, yes.
Yeah. Hey, but Mr. Thompson,
Yes, sir.
you stop on Article 241 all the time, 24.1, right?
Yes, I do.
We live in the 242. You realize that, right? And you fall one short of the 242, man. Let's look what the 242 says so what we can really get into the Constitution. We can read that in the Article 242. We are the 242, and people will delve into that. I mean, those who even interested, they will look and find out what the 242 say. What is Article 24.2?
24-2. Okay.
Yeah, what 24.2 says, Mr. Thompson?
You ask me what it says?
Yeah, use the Constitutional man. Blackmail probably could tell me.
What did he tell you about 24-2?
No, he didn't tell me. But I know blackmail. If you ask him what the 242 is, Article 24.2, he'll go in detail and describe the whole article.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
But what is an Article 242, Mr. Thompson?
I don't recall Article 24-2 at the moment.
Okay.
But I'll look into it since you mentioned it, Article 24-2, yes, and you say this is the 242. Okay.
Yeah,
I won't argue with you on that.
And that'll make it real interesting for the Indian people because we are the 242. And then people will delve into the 242 and then they go to 24-1, then eventually they read the whole Constitution and get to So seriously, man, and I'll guarantee callers will call in and say, yeah, the caller, he making sense.
All right. Okay. I can't argue against it. I'll have to see what 24-2 says, and then we can go from there.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Thompson, I mean, I want to get mad because you always get mad people, nothing, right? So, Mr. Thompson, I mean, like, you make me, I lost my train of thought and all that. It's better you get mad at me all the time. There is nothing called you to make upon me like you really know me. Hello?
I'm not hearing what you're saying. What you said now?
No, what I'm saying is, right, my train of thought is lost just now when I said you was always hang upon me violently. Hang upon the call, hang upon the call. Some people live like that.
So what is it that you would like to present on the show?
To present on it, I don't come in there saying, I'd be waiting all the time.
No. You made a call to the show. What is it you're interested in discussing?
What am I interested in?
Yes.
Like I say, 24-2, Article 24-2.
Okay.
We have the 242.
All right, I'll check 24-2 and see what it says.
Oh, yeah, my friend thought of that. Mr. Thompson, also, I mean, like, I called you, months ago in reference to, integrity, right? And, I mean, like, I know the word integrity is not in our Constitution, right? But if we had that word integrity in our Constitution, the Constitution would be even stronger, because men who doing all these adverse things and things, they learn to live by principle. And when they behind closed doors, they live the same way when they open the door. That's integrity. You know what I'm saying? You don't just show the public and pretend like you all that. When you go in the public, you're going to recognize. That's integrity.
It's the quality of the people you elect to do your national affairs and the quality of the people that are appointed to do your national affairs.
Yeah, but if there's a bound to integrity, there's some punishment.
Well, the Constitution tells you how a government ought to function.
Yeah, but they don't have integrity in it. If you have integrity means anytime when you are out of office, I'm talking about not out of office, but when you're not in Parliament, when you like behind closed doors and wherever you go, you will act it. That's how you act all the time.
Okay.
In public, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's all I have to say. You have a wonderful day, Mr. Thompson.
All right. Well, thank you for your contribution. Okay. The caller is talking about the word integrity, and he says it's not in the Constitution. But let me just say this. The principles of governance that we ought to govern by is in the Constitution. And you have other words that are synonyms to the word integrity. And it does speak about the character of persons, what we are to believe in, the word of God, the principles of Scripture. We're to be under God, a nation espousing Christian values, spiritual values, and the rule of law. We have laws. We have all kinds of laws. Whether we are following those laws, that's another kettle of fish. But he mentioned 24-2. I'll look at 24-2 and see what that speaks specifically to. He said we're in the 242. The point is, Bahamians, we need to know our Constitution. There are a lot of things in that document. And there are many things that I've not had the opportunity to say on air. The Constitution is a very important document, and you don't just swallow that in a matter of minutes or days or even years. I've been at it for more than 50 years, and I know. It's a very complex document. It's written in legal language, and one has to strip all the legal language off it to clarify it to the average Bahamian. It's been on the internet for years, but people don't read it. That's too cumbersome for them. They start to read it now, they just stop. They don't understand it. That's unfortunate even with statute law. It's very cumbersome. I heard one caller called in talking about the Parliamentary Registration Act and the roundabout twisting of words. The average Bahamian doesn't understand that. Now, do the lawyers who have knowledge of the law explain that to the people? We've had many lawyers in the House of Assembly, but the people of the country do not know statute law either. They know nothing about constitutional law. But I am delighted to see that Bahamians are beginning to show an interest in constitutional law because of what has been presented on this show over the many years. The point is that it's going to take time for people to know. So you got to get it bit by bit by bit, especially those things that relate to the governance of your country and what a representative ought to be doing. And these laws that have been passed in the House, these agreements that have been signed, these treaties, are they constitutionally sound? Each one has to be thoroughly examined. We need a team of people who can go through every single piece of legislation from 1729 right on up to this day. All of the agreements. All of them have to be examined because we won't know whether they're constitutionally sound unless we examine them. And I can tell you a lot of crappy things have been passed which are not constitutionally sound. So that confuses the Bahamian people. That's why I am delighted that I went after constitutional law, because I can listen to the criminal lawyer and hear the crap that he will use to get his way. I can listen to the real estate lawyer and hear the crap from the real estate lawyer. I can hear the crap from the marriage counselor dealing with marital law, because I understand the Constitution. You look at everything in light of the Constitution, which is the supreme law. But if you don't know the supreme law, how are you going to be able to correct anything? You can't correct nothing. So people will put all kind of crap all over you, as has happened for the last 51 years. And the Bahamian people have not yet been able to correct it. We've been putting the wrong set of people and asking them to pass laws, which has not happened. They don't even know the Constitution themselves, and yet you're asking them to pass laws to govern you and me, which is foolishness, utter nonsense. And they have never admitted to tell you, I do not know. What is wrong with that? To say you don't know, or I'm not knowledgeable in that area. We have all sorts of laws, and there's specialty in relation to laws. And constitutional law is the most difficult to understand and to explain. You don't have that many people to deal with constitutional law. The number, if any number, there, very small. The thing is that we have to get people to prepare and to be made ready, because the Bahamian people are in need of strong teaching of constitutional law. And I'll be doing my part along with my team and others who will help to educate the masses so that they can be better equipped to deal with the government of the Bahamas. You can't deal with them if you don't know the law. They will tell you anything. That's the political mindset of political personalities. They'll swing you every single day of the year. And you get lost. You get caught up in the euphoria of elections and dancing and singing, and they give you a bottle of rum and some food and some drink. And you fall for it. Bahamians, there's much more to that. When you choose a parliamentary representative, and the particular party that you may be a member of, that particular person may be a weightless candidate that you cannot support. But yet they will tell you, support this particular weightless candidate who cannot do anything for you. And so that person goes into the House and collects money but doesn't perform. The representative is to deal with the constituency problems. And I've asked the question, but yet I've not gotten an answer about constituency problems that are bearing down on the Bahamian people. And they are burdened on it day after day after day. And they've not questioned their representatives. Some of these representatives are not even available to their people. They change the number. After the election is over, they change the number. And then here's another thing. Some of them have been appointed as ministers and state ministers. Of course, the Constitution doesn't support no state minister, but they do it anyhow. You got an unconstitutional office called Deputy Prime Minister. We've done nothing about it. That's been going on for more than 51 years. It's never been corrected. Now, let me tell you something else about the Constitution that just came down on me. The Constitution talks about Her Majesty the Queen. There are a number of articles in the Constitution. There is one article that says the executive authority of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is vested in Her Majesty the Queen. You can't change that unless there's a referendum. We don't it could be challenged. And we'll find ourselves wasting time before the courts instead of doing what is right now. There's some other things in the Constitution that needs to be changed, and you need a referendum to do it. There are some people who believe that we should become a republic. We are a constitutional monarchy. We have the Privy Council, which is the final court of appeal. And thank God that court of appeal has been good for the Bahamian people. But you see, some of these local judges or judiciary personnel have gotten it wrong. And it's a good thing we have the Privy Council. Or we can have another court of appeal or another final court of appeal. Let me put it that way. The Constitution allows for that. But at this particular time, it's the Privy Council. The Privy Council always rules in favor of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That's the only thing they could do. But these people over here who say they're running things, they're not lining up with the Constitution and making life better and simple for the Bahamian people. It talks about Parliament, what Parliament's supposed to do. Parliament has the authority to pass laws, and 3 specific reasons are mentioned: for the peace, order, and good government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Where do you see that in Baintown? Where do you see that in Fox Hill? Where do you see that in any constituency in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? Where do you see it anywhere in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? Good order, peace, good governance, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. People are crying out all the time. I hear the music in the background. The lines are open. 326-0271, 326-0272, 813-0271. This is Constitutional Day. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. We'll be back after the break.
Expression. Yeah, let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Yeah. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. Bahamians, we have some very serious issues. We have to make changes to our Constitution. The Constitution talks about the executive authority of the Bahamas is vested in Her Majesty the Queen. We don't have any more Queen, Bahamians. So that leaves a void in the Constitution. And there are other articles that talk about Her Majesty the Queen. We have to change those articles. We have to understand, if we do not take this matter seriously, as our current leaders are not paying attention to the Constitution, there's some other things in the Constitution that need to be changed. But I don't think the Bahamian people are ready for that yet, because many of you don't even understand the document. But I'm thankful to know that the interest is very high. When the Queen died, that's when the interest in the Constitution really surged. And a lot of you are looking at the Constitution, you're examining the Constitution, you're even questioning your representatives. And those others who say they want to be representatives in these particular constituencies. Anyone who is not constitutionally sound, reject them right off the top. The Bible says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. You want to find a righteous person to put in the House of Assembly. A person who will do what is right, what is just, what is fair. Now, how are you going to know that? Well, the Constitution tells you how to do it. What are the qualities you need to look for? And the scriptures tell you what qualities you need to look for in a potential representative. Because plenty that are there now don't have it, Bahamians. They're just collecting money. They have not done anything to improve the quality of life in the constituencies that they're supposed to be representing. They haven't. They don't even know this Constitution. But yet you send them to make laws. I think it's Article 53.1, if I'm not mistaken. Parliament may pass law. No, 52.1. That's it, 52.1. Parliament may pass laws for the peace, order, good government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Is that happening? You know how many crappy laws Parliament has passed, which are not constitutionally sound? The Nationality Act is one that has never been a law, but they've been using it for more than half a century. And everything they do under that act is not constitutionally sound. And we've had attorney generals from the very beginning, right on up to this one we got now. And it has never been corrected. Now, Bahamians, that has to be by design. But these people are supposed to be schooled in law. I get the distinct impression they don't know constitutional law. But they're sitting up there say they know. They haven't done what is right yet. We've been waiting for more than 51 years. And the problem has never been corrected. See, I go by the facts as I see them. For example, Article 6, which says very plainly that if the child born in the Bahamas of a foreign mother and a Bahamian father, at the birth of the child, and the father is Bahamian, that child is a Bahamian citizen. That's in Article 6. And you know, we had it all mixed up for more than 51 years. And yet still we got to find out what the government of the Bahamas is doing about it. Because the Constitution, the Privy Council didn't make any new ruling. They just tell them follow Article 6. It's clear. They were having the child wait till he turned 18. That's not so. Now, another article speaks to that. They're getting things all mixed up. And these are supposed people who train in law. They do not know constitutional law. That's the problem. We've had successive attorney generals from the very beginning, and the problem has never been corrected. More than 51 years. We're in our 52nd year. And the problem is still there. You think they're serious about anything? The answer is no, they're not. And we've had successive administrations of the governor of the Bahamas making the same mistake over and over and over again, not following the Constitution. That's how serious this is. Now, Bahamians, we got to get people in the House of Assembly and in the Senate and in the Cabinet who understand constitutional law. Now, how we can find you? That's a good question. If we check the Holy Scriptures and we check the Constitution, we got the answer. When the righteous in authority, the people rejoice. The people ain't rejoicing. But it says, when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Now, which is it? Are they rejoicing or are they mourning? You couldn't find one single constituency in this country where the people are rejoicing. Not one. Not even the one where I live, which is Centerville, but rejoicing. And people cussing out and carrying bad in the street. People are so frustrated with their lives. People are committing suicide. Now, I ain't sure if they're Bahamian. But I know people have made attempts to take their lives because of the massive frustration. The Constitution says you are not to be frustrated. Your life being frustrated by deprivation. Ain't proposing no frustration on the lives of Bahamian people. That's unconstitutional. And what is the government doing about it? Now, some people tell me when I speak about these murders, they talk about the parents. So I say, now, what happens when the parents fall down? A lot of parents have fallen down with their offspring. These males have become unruly. And God tells you what to do with them. And so parents have lost control. It is the duty of the government of the Bahamas to protect the Bahamian people. They got the police. They say the police is the law enforcement. And the police got problems with a senior man in there. Say he on garden leave. What the heck is that? Still getting money. Still getting paid. And I understand the last report he's in the commissioner's office. Doing what? And the investigation's supposed to be going on. What kind of crap is that? We have so many cases that need attention. Bahamians, this is very bad for our nation. How do you think we are looked at outside? Because people are watching, you know. People inside are watching, people outside are watching. The Bahamas, our reputation, our name is important. Do we have a good reputation? Do we have a bad reputation? We have to fix it, Bahamians. And the only way you can fix it is you need righteous people in authority. That's one thing that has been missing in all this. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous in authority, the people rejoice. You couldn't find one single constituency where there's rejoicing. Now, you may have some people who get one little contract from the government. Others get a contract for a couple of dollars. Others get a contract for hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. And they're happy because they're getting money. But the people are suffering. The suffering is with the masses. They're struggling to live. To get a plate of food, they got to stand outside somebody's door and wait for a plate of food. I'm not saying anything is necessarily wrong with that, but the standard has dropped considerably. People are suffering heavily. Someone accosted me when I was coming to work today. I wasn't able to help the particular personality at the time. But the point is, there are many people out there who are hurting badly. Why is that? People on the streets, mostly males. And you have some females too, but mostly males. What are we going to do about these things, Bahamians? What is happening to these people? We have to make some hard decisions. And Bahamians, it's going to require some serious sacrificing. I might as well give it to you straight. That's why I threw out the challenge. Give me my 18 months. And I'm dead serious about this. Because it takes the collective will of a people. Article 24.1 of your Constitution. One caller talk about Article 24.2. I got to check, see what that specifically says. Because he's saving the 242. I said we don't play games with the Constitution. Article 24.1 speaks specifically to the will of the people coming together to make a difference in their particular constituency or in their particular island. Because it takes the will of a people to make a difference. It doesn't take one or two people. Some of you have left it to expect one or two people to carry this burden, this national burden. That can't happen. It is unconstitutional for me to even try that. So I ain't going to do it. Because the Constitution says, Professor, you're not to do that. That's why I told them, you choose the problem in that constituency where you live. Just give me my 18 months, it will get solved. Just give me some righteous people to work with, and I'll get it done. Just one major constituency problem. Just one. It will get fixed. But it takes the collective will of the people to support those persons who are righteous. With the righteous in authority, the people rejoice. And let me just add this while it's in my head. 51% or more of you who live in that particular constituency, I have to make this very clear, must become righteous in your dealings one with another. Then that constituency is headed for progress. You don't hear no politician talk that kind of language because they ain't righteous themselves. They ain't checking for no right. They want to keep sweetheart. They want to lie to you and mislead you and deceive you. And that's all they've been doing for the last 51 years plus. And you bought into the crap. Instead of you sit down and think, let me think about this and find the right person to be the next representative. If they're not righteous, they can't go in the house. If they don't line up with Scripture, as God wants us to be lined up, under God, under the supremacy of God, the rule of God, the authority of God in our lives, and God tells his people to repent, humble themselves, pray, seek his face, turn from their wicked ways, a turning away from wickedness. Because if God's people got wicked ways, what do you think about the government of the Bahamas? They got all kind of wicked ways. What do you think about those in Parliament? Wicked ways. What do you think about the devil and his people? Wicked ways. That's the reality of the day. I have learned that the hardest thing for a human being to do is to admit when he is wrong. I have to struggle with that every day. I got to fight myself every day. I'm working for perfection, but I ain't get there yet. But I can be there. Matthew 5:48. It takes hard work and discipline to be perfect. And to live a righteous life, Bahamians. You can expect to make progress in your country with wickedness flowing all around you, wicked people running your affairs, wicked people in the cabinet, wicked people in the House of Assembly, wicked people in the Senate. Can't wait. Wicked people in high positions in the civil service. That means you can't wait. You got to flush them out. That's what's wrong with our country. And most of you have been seeking on people, talking in circles. That means I got no time for that. I speak it on air. I wanted to go out on air so you can hear it. And thank God for Global Radio. And thank God for this opportunity to talk to the Bahamian people. Because, see, plenty of you are hiding in the dark. Now, see, when people hide in the dark, you know about them, eh? God says very plainly, they love darkness rather than light. I want to live in one glass house, no windows, just pure glass. You could see everything. Nothing to be hidden. That's how I want my life to be. So they can't talk about what they say about Professor Thompson. You'll see for yourself. And then you could make your judgment. Everything that I've said on air can be verified. Either it is or it isn't. But they're some who are afraid to even speak. They're scared. What this one can say, what that one was the next one say. No. The Constitution gives you freedom of expression, but you have to be responsible with it. And you don't get personal with people. I speak strictly to national issues, constituency issues, international issues, particularly when it comes to these treaties. And we got to do some work on that. There are plenty funny things that the governor of the Bahamas has signed us on to. But people say they're sitting around the table, signing all kind of crappy things, and then bringing it here and say, we got to go buy it. Once you sign on to it, the people coming after you and say, you signed it. And then what happens to us? We don't know. We don't know what was signed. And so the Bahamas government has gone into signing all kind of arrangements. How we can keep up with all of that foolishness? Just because the people say sign it. Some things we have to tell them no. Because a lot of these things do not line up with the Constitution, that's one, and they don't line up with the Holy Bible, that's two. So we got to turn them down. Tell them, no, we ain't into that. We got to stop that. The lines are open, 326-0271, 326-0272, 813-0271. Bahamians, it is time that we get serious about saving this country. And let me tell you, if we don't move now, some other people will steal it from us. Let me repeat that. If we don't move now, September the 30th, 2024, some wicked people out there will steal this nation from us. And they'll say that's their nation, speaking one funny language. And all that we know as Bahamian will disappear. We can't let that happen. We must not let that happen, Bahamians. Our mothers and fathers have worked too hard and sacrificed heavily. What's going to happen to these young people today and future generations coming after them? What's going to happen? We have a different country, speaking a different language, and maybe a multiplicity of language. I notice on AM radio now, I only could catch about 2 or probably 3 at the most radio stations in English. I hear all kind of funny things on the radio. And they ain't speaking no English, I can tell you that. So we have to be careful, Bahamians, who we allow on the airwaves in this country. They'll outdo us. And they'll be speaking all kind of funny things. And you and I won't know what the heck they're talking about. Because we don't speak those kind of languages. So Bahamians, we have to be careful. You must get cracking today, September the 30th, 2024. Because we cannot wait any longer. Now, this is month number 3, since I said from July to 8th. This is month number 3. Bahamians, we got to do better now. We can't keep sitting back doing nothing. The country is on the brink of sliding straight out into the ocean. You hear them talk about climate change? You ain't seen nothing yet. But the man overseas talking about climate change, and the people are clamoring for him to speak to them. But they want to tell you, go check, Google this, Google that, Google the next thing. That woman in Baintown got any time to Google what? Is she trying to cook dinner for them 5 hungry boys? And the man in Foxhill who is burdened down because he's trying to find 6 son-in-laws for his beautiful daughters. And I know of another father who got 2. That's 8. 8 girls who want husbands. Can't find them because we got all this foolishness going on. Then the woman in Angliston, I can't forget her. 3 disabled children. They're now adults. They could vote. And they have to make a decision. They want to be married too. So we got to work with them. Famous, there's a lot that has to be done. And I'm going to be very strong on the Constitution. That's your salvation document. Without it, you won't have a country. Don't let anyone mislead you and deceive you. And don't vote for anyone who is not constitutionally sound. That's the mistake we've been making for 51 years. That's why we all messed up. You can find the right persons. Follow the Constitution, follow the scriptures, and you will get the right answer. This has been Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson, and thank you for participating and listening to the show. I'll be here tomorrow between 2 and 4. I'll have a special guest on for tomorrow, and we will move forward. But Bahamians, we have a lot of work to do. Please get serious. Let us save the Bahamas for future generations and for current ones. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. Have a very pleasant afternoon and be safe.
Glory.